And we're going live. All right. Okay. So I still have everybody here. I know I can't see
Yeah.
you. I just want to make sure I still got everyone here. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing that I'm going to do is show you all the assignment that we're doing today in Google Classroom. And just as a reminder to everybody, this is where you can find all of the resources that we're using for our classes. Now, let me
Oh,
know. Can you all see my screen right now?
yeah,
Yeah.
Nico's hopping on right now.
Okay. You gonna help him get on, Amari? All right. Okay. So, you all can see my screen, Sumner and Silas?
Yeah.
All right. So we're on week 4, May 26th, and today's assignment is congratulations, you're a podcaster. So that's the one you're going to click on. And you click view assignment and then click instructions. Okay. And as always, guys, if you have questions, just interrupt me. Just say, hey, Mr. Jones, I got a question, or just say, hey, I have a question. Same thing if you feel like I'm going too fast. Okay. All
I
right.
can't.
Hmm?
I can't get on Google Classrooms.
You can't get on Google Classroom?
Yeah. No. Whenever I try to, it's like we can't find this class in your class links. That this is it's weird. It just says like the class stuff doesn't work.
Hmm.
Did you click on the link?
So is that Silas or Sumner that's having an issue getting into?
Sumner's having the issues.
Okay. So because I see Silas is in here already. Let's see. What's your email, Sumner?
Lego Master Sumner at gmail.com.
Go Masters.
No capitals.
Gmail. Lego Master Sumner at gmail.com, correct?
Yep.
Gotcha. So I'm sending another one. I just sent another invite to your email. Okay. I'm gonna keep on teaching and let me know if you're able to get in while I'm teaching. Okay.
Right.
All right. That's good.
Okay.
So in the Google Classroom, we were here reviewing our assignment. And so have any of you all done a podcast?
No.
Have you seen or heard a podcast?
Yes.
Oh, what kind of
I've
pod?
listened to podcasts.
You said what?
I've listened to podcasts.
What did you listen to podcasts about?
I mean, sometimes for school, if we have some assignment that we have to write about, like do a review of something, sometimes I just do podcasts.
I hear podcasts on the radio
Oh,
in
really?
the morning on the way to school.
Oh, okay.
Also, I listen to podcasts for just random things I like, you know,
Good.
game stuff.
So right off the gate, from the what you all are telling me, it sounds like we listen to podcasts for a lot of different reasons. It can be
I've never even listened to a podcast before.
No, like
really.
I don't randomly just like get on a podcast. We're usually listening to a radio and it like breaks off into a podcast after the song.
Gotcha. Okay. So what would you do? What do you describe a podcast as? What do you think happens in a podcast?
They talk about a certain thing or
Or like something that happened.
Mm. So something that happens. So yeah, current events is one. What's another topic that you might hear in podcasts?
like they're doing something and they're just explaining what's happening, like a
Yeah, or like being funny or messing around or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one time, I forgot, but they were like talking about like if somebody dropped a new song or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the podcast was about promoting the person's music that was about to come out.
Yeah,
Okay.
or just messing around. They're just talking about like celebrities or stuff like that.
Okay. Well, good. All right. So that's what we are creating today is our own podcast. You guys are, if you read the instructions here tell you you have just been afforded the opportunities to start your own podcast. So now is the time to pull your resources together and make your first episode. You're going to,
Everyone's getting on right now.
okay, good. You're going to utilize Soundtrap to record. You're going to edit and then publish your first podcast. So in case you all, I think maybe we mentioned it before, but Soundtrap is actually owned by Spotify. So when you do this project here on this podcast, or in this podcast project on Soundtrap, you will be able to publish it to Spotify for all of your friends to go listen to after you're done. Okay. So you can, after you take this class with us and you do this project, you will be able to go and make your own podcast on your own and put it out there for people to be able to hear. That sound pretty cool?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna walk through the steps on here on Google Classroom, and then we'll go through the videos. I'm gonna show you my demo, and then we'll wrap the class up after that. Again, remember you can stop me for questions at any time. So the first thing you want to do is pick a public radio friendly topic. And what that means is you want to be appropriate. Don't talk about anything that your parents would be upset about you talking about. Okay. So some examples of that could be current events. So right now, a current event is we are all in this pandemic. That's one you could talk about. Pop culture, that could be anything from music to celebrities to what's going on in the entertainment industry. Health, so what are health concerns right now? What's the newest trends in health? You can also talk about education, things that educate people, and then of course entertaining things like music and sports. But again, our idea is we want to pick a public radio friendly topic. We want everybody to be able to listen to this, so pick a topic that we can share with everybody. Number two, you want to make a list of your talking points. Okay, so if I chose music, all right, and let's say specifically I want to talk about I'm going to talk about do I like songs that have horns or songs that have keyboards? So if I was making a list of talking points, I might make a list of songs that have horns and a list of songs that have keyboards. I'm going to have opposing ideas about the topic. So I'm going to have reasons listed as to why I like horns, reasons listed why other people might like horns, or even questions about why a piano sound might be better than a horn sound, or a horn sound might be better than a piano sound. Your third step, pick a guest, pick who you want to speak on your podcast. Sumner and Silas, you probably have an advantage here. The two of you can probably work together. You can just interview each other for your podcast, or even just start a topic conversation and go from there. Amari and Serenity, I don't know if you all can hear me, but you all could work together. That could be another pair. But the idea is that you're going to need one person to be the host and one person to be the response person, the person you're kind of interviewing, and the conversation will go back and forth between the two. So once you do that, you're going to go into Soundtrap, and I'm actually going to go straight to the videos here. And so we're going to watch all these videos. They're not even 7 minutes long, but they're going to show you pretty easily how to do this Soundtrap thing. It's pretty simple. And then I'm going to walk you through what I did. So let me know. Let me make sure. Share computer sound. All right. So here's the first video. Let me know if you all can hear this audio.
Now, over.
Can you all hear that?
Yes.
Silas? Okay, good. All right. Just trying to make sure everybody can hear the audio.
Now, over to how to invite your guest. Your guest does not need a Soundtrap account. You can just set up a link right here and send it to them.
So I just wanted to point that out real quick in case you missed that. It went by very fast. If you wanted to interview somebody who does not have a Soundtrap account, they do not need a Soundtrap account. You just have a link that you would send to them that they can connect with you. So I'll play that part again one more time.
Does not need a Soundtrap account. You can just set up a link right here and send it to them. When they jump in, all they need to do is select their input, enter their name, and hit join call. Once your guest is on the chat, set up your tracks for recording here. Double check your inputs and hit set up. Make sure that all of your tracks are record enabled by having this button engaged. Now, when you're all set, just hit record. Once you're done recording, don't forget to save your podcast because you don't want to lose it. Make sure that you don't let your computer go to sleep to avoid the recording cutting off and the project not being saved.
Okay, so that was just a quick overview. The next one is how to get set up. All right.
Hi, and welcome to Soundtrap for Storytellers. This first tutorial will make sure that you get the information you need to get your podcast started. And we'll run you through all the features and steps to make it perfect. First off, you need to set up all of your hardware. Connect your USB microphone or interface to your computer. You can also use your headset microphone. You might have to change your input setting to make sure you've selected the right microphone, which you can do right here in your track menu. You can get to it by clicking here. And before you start, make sure to try everything out, just to see that it's recording. You don't want to record for 30 minutes and realize you've recorded a dead cable.
Okay, so one key thing that I would say to take from that video is, like they said, make sure you test everything out before you start recording to make sure that you're not recording dead sound, or make sure that you are recording everything. Okay, here's the next one.
Now, over to how to invite your guest. Your guest does not need a Soundtrap account. You can just set up a link right here and send it to them. When they jump in, all they need to do is select their input, enter their name, and hit join call. Once your guest is on the chat, set up your tracks for recording here. Double check your inputs and hit set up. Make sure that all of your tracks are record enabled by having this button engaged. Now, when you're all set, just hit record. Once you're done recording, don't forget to save your podcast because you don't want to lose it.
Is the next part right here. So this part right here is particularly unique to Soundtrap, and this is the great part about Soundtrap, is this transcript. That is, the words that you say in your podcast, they're going to end up being put into words under what you recorded, so that you can actually edit it just through the text. So this is what it is.
And now let's jump into editing. Making it easier and more intuitive to edit your podcast than before, here is our interactive transcript tool. Click on Settings, Podcast Tools, and then go to the Transcript tool. Now, click on both tracks to get them transcribed. Once Soundtrap is done transcribing, the entire transcript will show up like a text document, and you will be able to read through it. If you find transcription errors, you can easily correct them by right-clicking and choosing Text Correction. You can also select what you want to edit and press the E. If there are some segments you decide you don't want in the podcast, you can delete them by taking them out of the transcript. You can also move them to a different location by cutting them out and moving them to another place. And look at this. When you edit the text, the audio will be edited at the same time. In the studio, you will find a lot of other features that will help you edit your podcast into perfection.
This is the last one that I'll show you. This is just another general editing video.
Editing tools. Use Command Control E to cut in a region. Trim. Use the lower corners of a region to edit their length. Loop. Use the upper corners to loop regions. Volume. The volume knob is right here. Automation will change your volume over time, so if you want to fade tracks in or out, you can do that here. Adding effects like reverb, compressors, and EQs is done by clicking on the track icon and then adding them.
All right, so I'll stop that there. Do I have any questions? Does what we saw in the videos, does that make sense?
Yeah, it
that
does.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so now that I've walked you through the kind of what the steps are, and we've watched the videos, and just a reminder, all of those videos we watched just now, they are on Google Classroom, and that's pretty much all of the steps that you need to make the podcast. So this is the one that I'm sorry. Somebody had a question?
No.
Okay.
Never mind.
All right, so this is the podcast that Douglas and I did. We just did a quick discussion. Our topic was Logic Pro versus Reason, which are two different digital audio workstations. They're very similar to Soundtrap. They just look and work differently. So I'm gonna play maybe about the first 45 seconds of what we did, just so you all get an idea of how our podcast sounded. Here we are, and welcome to the KRE8ivU podcast show. We here are with the CEO, Douglas Green, as well as with myself, Jordan Jones. Got a quick discussion today on logic versus reason. So, Douglas, which DAW do you prefer between the two, logic or reason?
Well, it all depends on the use. Right now, Logic is really, I mean, they just came out with a new version that's really phenomenal, and I'm really still trying to learn it and figure it out, but it's got a lot of new gadgets and stuff. We all love gadgets in our tech world, right?
Of course. Yeah, I'm actually a big Logic fan myself. How long have you been using Logic?
Well, since Full Sail, actually, 2014 or something.
Okay,
like
so
that.
about 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a decent amount of time. Do you feel like Logic? Okay, so you kind of get the idea of what we did here. I started off with some intro music, just playing in the beginning, and as soon as the intro music was over, I kind of went right into introducing the show. I told them what we're going to be talking about it, and then we went right into the discussion. So if you look, this goes back with the steps that I provided here on Google Classroom. Pick your topic. I wrote down some talking points on a piece of paper. Once I got in there with Douglas and we started talking, I introduced the show and went right into my topic. So the steps for recording, I know you just watched it in the video. I'm gonna show you one more time real quick. When you first come in, it's gonna ask you music or podcast, and you're gonna select podcast. And when you come in, you'll come over here to the collaboration tab, which most of you all are familiar with, and you can invite people with clicking that plus sign and invite people here. This is, as you can see, I invited Douglas Green, and that's how we did the interview. Once I was in there, I clicked call and I called Douglas. Douglas isn't on right now, which is why his name isn't highlighted. But if I wanted to interview Nico, if Nico was the one that I was interviewing, I would click call and I would click interviewing Nico right here. And once you have that set up, if you watch the videos again, there's another step in there that you have to set up your microphones, and it's always going to give you 2 tracks. So if you're the one starting the project, that's what you need to double check for, is that you have 2 tracks. One that says my voice and one with the other person's voice. So that was my voice that was on top, and then Douglas's voice was the other one. Yes. So when you record, this is important to keep in mind too. Do not worry about messing up. Okay. You want to record it from the beginning all the way to the end. Don't ever stop recording. Everybody got that? Do you stop recording in the middle? Do you stop recording in the middle? I'm asking anybody.
No.
Good.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Good. Yes. You're going to let the whole thing record from beginning to the end. And this is why. So as you can see right here, you can see I went in and started cutting out different parts of the audio. And this is for me, I cut out a lot of the dead audio. So on Douglas's voice right here, you can even look at it and look at the waves and see there's nothing in this area. So I went ahead, and you can do it with just a mouse. You'll wait for the little line with 2 arrows on either side of it to show up, and you'll clip all of that out. And the reason why you want to do that is because if you listen to it, I actually have an echo if I leave that in there. So I'm gonna play it and you'll hear the echo. Here we are, and welcome to the KRE8ivU podcast show. We here are
No.
with the CEO Douglas Green, as well as with myself, Jordan Jones.
No.
Got a quick discussion today on Logic, and so that echo in there is just
Go away,
Douglas's
Red.
microphone picking up me talking in there. So that's the only reason why there's even an echo there. So that's one thing to be key about. When you go back through, you want to listen through and take out all your dead audio. This is also how you can fix certain like mess ups. So right here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. I'm gonna show you I actually messed up in what I said. So right here, the CEO Douglas Green, as well as with myself, Jordan Jones. So right here, there's two ways to do this. You can go in and you can click the audio regions and delete them. Douglas Green as well, and because if I move this back out, you actually hear that I said a lot more in there. Douglas Green as well with our program instructor, myself, Jordan Jones. So there were more words in there that I took out of. And the way you can do that when you go down here, as you saw in the video, is in the transcript. In here, I've got my voice and Douglas's voice transcript. So it listened to every word that I said in the microphone, that both of us, and it put it into a text format right here. So as it was doing that, I can actually delete words down here. And when I delete it down here, it changes it up here with my regions automatically. So I don't have to go back and play the same spot over and over. I can just edit it down here at the bottom. Okay. So once I got all of that editing done, okay, so I went through, I took out my dead air, and I've checked and made sure I took out all the spots that I messed up on. That was when I just grabbed some loops, which we've done before. Everybody in here has worked with loops before on Soundtrap, or we've discussed it before. And I made some intro music. I just grabbed a bunch of horns and drums. Here we are, and welcome to the. And so when you get to the end, you can do just like you would in a Word document. I'm going to hit copy. So I highlighted everything. So I clicked and dragged my mouse over that. I hit Command C, which if you're on a desktop is going to be Control C. I'm going to come down here to the end, and right as it's over, hit paste. Oh, I can't paste. Audio data can only be pasted. Because I have the wrong track highlighted. There we go. There we go. So now my ending. Breaking down the differences and which one's better between logic versus reason. This is Douglas Green and Jordan Jones with KRE8ivU Podcast. Thank you, and see you next week. And there you have it. So I got my music in the beginning, my whole interview plays throughout the middle, and then I have my outro music. Remember to always save frequently in your projects. And this is the last thing that I'll show you. When you exit the studio, you'll have to wait for it to mix it down. But once you do that, then you can publish podcast. So it's actually not highlighted right now, but right here it's got the little Spotify emblem and everything, and it says publish podcast. So as soon as you finish your podcast and it sounds the way you want it to sound, you can put your podcast on Spotify for the whole world to listen to. You can send a link to all your friends, to your teachers, to anybody that you want or you think would want to listen to your podcast. And this is how you gain fans. And if you don't know, when you get to a certain level with podcasts, that's when you can actually start to get commercials in your podcast, and people will pay you to put their commercials in your podcast, and you can make money that way. So Michelin Tires would be like, hey, Amari, your podcast has 500,000 viewers, and we want your 500,000 viewers to hear our Michelin Tire commercial. So we're going to give you $2,000 for you to talk about Michelin Tires in your podcast. So anyways, you all, that's pretty much the wrap up on how to do the podcast. What did you all think? Did I have any questions? I know I had some people
No,
mention
we're
some
good.
stuff here and there. Okay. Oh, thank you, Serenity. I saw you mention about the horn sounding great. Let me stop sharing. And okay, so let's see. So Silas and Sumner, you think you all are gonna work together for this?
Maybe, maybe not.
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I say I don't know.
Well, okay, so you don't have to. I'm just asking, just trying to get an idea because you all can both do your own individual podcast, or you guys can work together and do a podcast together. And remember when you're recording with your microphone to use headphones if you have them. But you can use the microphone on your computer, you know. Um, and Nico, you think you can work with Amari? Good. Okay. So Amari, you and Nico are going to be working on the podcast together. All
Okay.
right. And Serenity, what about you? You can work with me if you want to. I'll let you interview me if you need a partner. If not, who do you want to work with, Serenity? You there? Maybe she's not there. She's not at a computer, Amari. Do you know? Sorry, you unmuted, Amari. Oh, she said me maybe. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Serenity, yeah, just send me an email, Serenity, and we can figure out or put a message on Google Classroom. Okay? So, is there anything else that I should go over? Anything else? Do I need to help anybody get started?
We'll see.
Okay. So remember, Google Classroom is where you all can message me or put comments on there if you're having trouble with something. Um, and that's also where all of the videos are. And all of the videos have step by step on what to do, on how to get your podcast started, how to record it, and all that. Got a question, Amari?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. Like for interviewing and stuff, are you gonna pick who's gonna be interviewing them? Because you told me and Nico are together, but like who's interviewing who?
You guys get to decide. You two can interview somebody else together. So, or you guys can interview each other. It's up to you. You get to decide. Okay.
Okay.
As long as somebody else is, as long as there is somebody being interviewed and somebody who's in charge of the questions. Okay.
Okay.
So you can write down your questions, right, and ask each other. And you know, you could do half of it with an interview from Ari, where you're interviewing Nico, pick a subject, and then Nico can, on the other half, interview you.
What did you say?
I said you could interview each other, take turns.
Yeah. And write it down.
Like I
Okay.
heard Nico's got a couple of new friends, three new
Yeah.
friends in the house. What do they call them? The hermits.
Yeah.
Oh, you got some hermit crabs, Nico?
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, that would be interesting to talk about in your podcast. I'd like to hear about that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I gave one to Serenity. All
And
right.
and who else is on?
Wait, I have another question.
Yes, please
Me and
ask more
Silas
questions.
be-
That what?
Could me and Silas be the host together?
And,
Yes,
And
Oh,
we can just
okay.
interview other people. And can we interview more than one person?
absolutely.
Okay, that's great.
Yes. Yes.
Thumbs
That would
up.
actually be great. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, guys, if you have questions, please use this time to ask as many questions as you can. Even if it's about a past project, because our video time, this is the time that we're on Zoom and talking to each other. This is probably when you'll get the best feedback and instruction from us and the best we can help you step by step. So So if I'm gonna throw this out there one more time. Any other questions? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can review or show you again. I just want to make sure you all have.
Can we interview people like at the house?
Yes, absolutely.
We interview people that aren't that we like that aren't like in our family. We interview
Well, heck yeah,
other
sorry.
people.
Right. So if you want to interview somebody who's not even like in your home, remember, watch that video again. There's a video on there that shows you how to send people a link. So if you have a friend in California that you want to interview, they don't even have to have Soundtrap. There's in that collaboration part, you'll send them a link and then they will call you within Soundtrap. They'll click that link and it'll call you and it'll automatically record your voice and their voice as you record them.
Great.
Yes, yeah. So you're not limited to just the people in your house at all, and you don't have to travel anywhere. So right now it's great, great for this because you can interview anybody around the world.
Right.
Yes, great question. Is there anything else you think we could add, Douglas?
That is it.
All right.
I think you covered it.
Well, thank you guys so much again for participating in our class. We really appreciate you all being here and taking part. We're looking forward to hearing your podcast on Thursday. We're going to come back in here on Thursday, the Zoom call. I'm going to let you all ask me questions, maybe if you all had problems. And I want to hear your podcast. So I'm going to ask you to invite me to your project on Thursday. And we're going to listen to them and share them as a class. Okay?
Yeah, so we can invite you, like me and Aiden invited you when we made that beat.
Yes. That's what's
I
going to
didn't know
happen.
podcasts work like that. Same as
Yep, it'll work the exact same way. So I look forward to hearing everybody's podcast on Thursday. All right.
okay.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Mhm.
Bye.
Bye bye.